In the midnight glow where the secrets lie, Maria Orsic with a glimmer in her eye. Wisdom from the ether, cosmic vibes flow. She's breaking down barriers, let the knowledge grow. Whispers in the dark, dreams take flight. She's the VRIL whisperer, guiding through the night. She was the oracle, the guide through time, chasing the echoes, the celestial rhyme. Through the VRIL's flow, her spirit would fly. Maria Orsic, the star's alibi. With every heartbeat, she's igniting the stars of the ancients, reaching near and far, building a future where the shadows play. In her silence, we find the paths that stay, chasing the echoes of forgotten lore. Maria shines bright, can't ignore. She was the oracle, the guide through time, chasing the echoes, the celestial rhyme. Through the VRIL's flow, her spirit would fly. Maria Orsic, star's alibi. Echoing through history, her legacy thrives. In the whispers of the cosmos, Maria survives.
Remember, recover, return, our VRIL brothers and sisters. And may Mother Maria, the dancer on the stars, the dancer of the purple sun, of the purple hearts, of the good people in the inner earth called Zion. And of course, that's where they stole it from. This is a reality because of the great and honorable God, Baldur, Odin, Lucifer, some of Almighty Lord Shiva's name. And I don't mean almighty like the brainwashed Abrahamic faiths. As far as I know, no, of course, no man is almighty. In the first time actual physical reality where, call me crazy, Maria showed me and proved to me that because of a incredible nuclear war that ended in 1948 with the complete removal of man from Earth and the rest murdered on purpose by psychomaniacs, the same ones doing it in the simulation, did it in the first time, and that's why they play their part. Who are they? They are the Golden Dawn, the OTO, all the groups under their god, Aleister Crowley. But the most and direct was in America was and will always be the process church of the final judgment, because that's their job, to bring about Yahweh Crowley and his religion of Crowleyanity, Christianity, where he is, of course, the polarity beast and Christ. Yes, the two messiahs of Zechariah, the two olive trees that stand beside Yahweh. The two messiahs, which are both, avatars of Crowley. And this was portrayed and acted out in a literal way on the earth after Maria, the VRIL Society, and many others had escaped to where we live now on Venus Key in another dimension. Why? Because it was decided by the gods who are the giants, who were men on Earth before they had a nuclear war. And people who have been listening are probably getting familiar with this story. This was and will stand as it is. So it will always be. And it is repeating in the simulated Earth holographic universe. And that's how Maria Orsic became a goddess, quote, goddess, a elevated teacher, because she was the one chosen by the giant Loki, Luiz, Shiva, Allah. She was chosen as a young girl when no one knew exactly what was going to happen, but the good on earth, who are eternally vigilant, watching from the astral plane, saw the black magic being done by Aleister Crowley, the banking elite, and the entire occult hierarchy elite. They were producing their own Christ, but he came and asserted himself as that and went on to thoroughly prove to them that he was more powerful than any of them, so that it was by default his. And for them to go consult their giant gods. And that he was right. He was put in charge of this grand deception, which is the literal grand conspiracy that has these very people imprisoned in this computer simulation. See, 13 years ago, that after a good year of asking questions and having Maria slowly, precisely, like she would laugh sometimes and say, "Can't I be artistic? Do I have to say it literally?" And I was like, well, yes, I have to know literally. Like, what do you mean the world ended in 1948? And like she said, it's really not something she likes to think about, because think about, I like she said, Joe, you're going to see a lot of it for yourself. How apathetic and just lacking of feeling people have for each other. Like, how cruel, how ruthless people are, is just manifesting because they go by a different time. They go by a different vibration. Like our enemy, who's controlling the world right now that we live in, literally have their fingers on destructive things, more destructive than nuclear fallout, nuclear bombs, and explosions. Literally, when the masses, and these are the precise words used by Maria, when the masses vibrationally shift towards trusting each other and being good to each other is better than force and fraud, they will push the button and kill all of us. Because that's the end of fun to them. Because they like the game of playing with your mind. They thrive on the game of scaring you. Just imagine there was not, listen to me close, there was not meaningless, senseless, horrific movies in a whole genre called horror movies. These plots of just no philosophy, no moral, no real story. It just psycho. It's as if someone said, hey, we're going to use all these poisons and chemicals on people. Try to write a story of what that would manifest in everyday America, everyday Europe. The vibration, the vibration, the vibration tortured me as a child. I would lay in bed and think about those movies, and like somehow the magicians behind the horror movies are so smart that they know exactly how afraid it will make a child to inside of themselves vibrationally feel, hold it. There are actual people who exist in this world running around, and they're actually not as rare as you think, who not only, not kill for survival or kill even for wealth, but kill because they enjoy the capture of energy and fear, the fear producing in all directions, right? Like Maria said to me, we don't like to see any of the people we love have to, go through this, but you have to face your fears and face them down, like unconscious even fears, And the only way, like she said, it, and this would also go into a whole teaching of hers about the coming of age years of each person in the matrix. Because you never experienced that on Venus, she guarantees, showed me, proved to me that the gods believed the best and most peaceful, harmonizing, unifying, whole planet race of people that each new soul being introduced, born, you might say, would be born into a 30-year-old mature body without sexual organs of any, and without waste organs. And so you do not experience childhood or a coming of age except mentally. And like Maria's life is basically this. She teaches dance, of course, but she also teaches a larger classes on basically the ritual, magic, imagination, how to, know yourself, get there, to a broader audience, students, you might say, young, new people. But she also raises 2 children at a time, and like she said, I have hundreds and hundreds of children that she, like she said, raises in her house. And she also works half the day here in the simulation, helping people not get out of context, over traumatized. So that when they come back to Venus, they're not, troubled, not different, you might say. And I say that because of how many times I've remembered people talking, and I just feel like I'm supposed to say this. Like, back home on Venus, when you decide to come to the simulation, like Maria said, it changes everything without you wanting it to or needing it to. It just changes everything. It changes your vibration because it's now in your timeline, life sight, your far-sightedness. You're seeing what am I going to be like there? Who am I going to be close to? How am I going to fulfill the mission? How am I going to add to who I am now? How is this going to actually work? And it causes us to rightfully, and our teachers tell us to, go seek out people that we know that we're going to the simulation at the same time. And like Maria said, We do this because we believe this is what happens in nature. Like the true selves are communicating like trees. Like trees, just like vibrationally. And then when we enter the matrix, I don't want to say it's a game, but it's more of a test of our abilities, our essence power to find these people. And when you do find one of these people, it's unconsciously it's obvious that you knew this person before you came here, and not in a repeating way, but authentically in the real world before being plugged in. And it does change the context very much. And that is how I met my true comrade. And just to add some more context to why we come here and why we seek out people in our same matrix, timeline, and area, astrology, all of that. For me personally, I directly said, Maria, can you tell me? You've been saying all this, but I'm still unclear about myself personally. You say, ask me anything you want to know. Can you tell me? And this was probably like the 5th or 6th ritual. And we would go through this, ask me anything you want to know, like several times a night, a ritual. Maybe some nights 4 or 5 times. I would be like, hey, what about this? And why exactly am I here? Why did I sign those contracts to come here? Was there one specific deciding fact? And while I was saying to her, her mind met my mind, and she was like, know this, son. I'm putting my thoughts in your mind right now. And I was like, awesome. That's great, because I really want to know. And she said, and I'm not joking. She said, look, and she put out her hand, like her palm, to me. And I looked at her palm and I didn't see anything. And when I looked back at her eyes, it was like white light came from both of our eyes and met in a flash. And when we did, she was like, do you remember this in Egypt? And I was like, no, I don't. And what I was seeing was it kind of looked like a hospital, but not. And why it looked like a hospital was there was like a sort of bed every like 50 feet or so in a large like auditorium. And she said, this is the real Egypt. This is the real mummy. This is what they were portraying for the initiated, for those who, are where you are right now, Jeff. And I said, I don't understand. She said, look at the beds. and they look like mummies, not wrapped in bandages and stuff, but like like wood carvings with, I guess, the mummy inside of them. The case with all the of like the painting of their face, and each one had like a little light on it, like an orange light on it. And I said, I don't understand. And she said, this is what you are striving for. This is why you went. Because the gods that called you before them and arranged your magic weddings, they did so for this purpose. That's why it's fire in your mind. She said, you want to be like them, like my God, Lucifer. I said, I still don't understand. She said, they're in a permanent meditation of their own choice because they're with their loved ones, creating a whole world with all their memories put together, all their energy put together. And she said, Joe, what is real magic? I said, oh, the manipulation of of natural energy for your own purpose. She said, how do you make it more magic? And I said, I don't know. And she said, look. And she put her hand out again. And I was standing before what I now know is Lou. But he had a like monk's robe on and a monk's hood. And I barely seen his eyes for just a flash of a second. And I actually think it was Lou in, one of his brother avatars. And really all I could see was his right below his eyes, his nose and his mouth and his beard, which was black and gray. And I was so happy to see him because, like I said, I think this was the third time. And I was like, yeah, so glad to be right back here in front of you. This guy has the best vibration. It's Lou, And he said to me, what has your mother taught you? And I was like, she taught me that I was part of a magic wedding because I passed an initiation where I had a magic wedding to myself. And he was like, that's great. The wedding of the true self. He was like, do you need any more? I was like, no. I said, that's what's crazy. Is I was shown I could exist on this like peaceful white light level alone, and I would be totally, completely fine. He was like, that's wonderful. That's awesome. And he said, do you know that two people can exist in that white light together? And I went, no way. I was having my mind really blown at the time. I did not even know these things were possible. And it suddenly made sense to me. I'm like, oh, that's what people mean by two becoming one, you know? And he smiled and said, yeah, I'm here to tell you. I know from experience that, and so does your mother, that that's true. That one person can live in that bliss, but two people, he said, I'm not saying it's common. He said, it's what people call eternal true love, what your mother's religion is all about. I said, yeah, I'm finding out. I'm realizing that. He said, is there anything else you want to ask me? I said, I can't think. He's like, but there's something you should be asking me. And I was like, but I'll be honest with you. I don't know what it is. And he was like, what you were shown. He said, and I still was like, I don't know. I was shown a lot of things. What do you mean? It was like I was losing the context, which I just want you to get an example of how human you are on astral planes. You're still you. And this is when he showed me his eyes. With his mind, he said, look at me. And that's how I knew we were most definitely telepathically communicating, because when I looked, he moved his hood just enough for me to see the exact color of his blue eye, so that I would know that that was and is and will always be the eyes of the Jesus who came to me in the 3 dreams while I was a Christian that literally kept me alive. It's a long story why, but a supernatural, inspiring dream can actually keep you alive when it comes from the greatest and most sincerest, and really, I mean it when I say it, loving God's. Lou, Donna, I don't know Jason and Hella, but Maria is like, I am Hella. But I've met her face to face. I've met the beautiful Hella. Thank you, Hella. Thank you, Jason. And Odin Lou said to me, you should be asking me, can 3 people live in that space and become one? And I remembered Maria saying, I have a husband and I have a wife. We 3 are one. But I was unsure of myself before this very super powerful person. I can't explain how someone's presence can be so, but one day may you experience it. Him, I should say. And I said, I don't know. And he said, and he did smile, because I guess, I mean, they've told me many times, Joe, we know you very well, and to see you not remembering us or anything is just too funny for us. It's funny, like no matter how serious the context is, to see you as if you don't know us is hilarious, because they all smile and laugh when I say shit. And I know that it's what I have to say because it's just truth, it's just who I am. And he said, you're wondering, in the Maya illusion, reality is an illusion, right? I said, well, the simulation reality is an illusion. No, and he said, no, all reality. The true self is all. There's nothing else. He's like, don't you remember? I was like, yeah. He's like, add to the true self from the Maya order out of chaos for you, yourself, and only you, yourself. Only you can make you happy. Only you can make you sad. That's the bottom line, as they say in your world. And I literally said, I'm not sure what you're saying. He said, Joe, you went through an official ceremony, an official initiation test in that memory where you had to pass a psychic test to earn the right to marry your wife, Jo Ellen, and you, ordained by the gods, passed an initiation to be arranged to be married to a princess of the red planet, the red race. As you know, it was deadly serious, and you passed that test because, Joe, 3 people can be one. 4 people can be one. He was like, I know 5 people who are one. He was like, I actually personally know 6 people who are one. He was like, I'm not going to keep going, but I'm going to tell you, I know 12 people who are one. He was like, that's as high as I know. And we both laughed. And I, straight up, for like 10 seconds, went like, whoa, because I was seeing how that can be. And he was like, do you know? He's like, Joe, think. Because I was just in awe, and I went, yeah, how can that be? And he was like, right. He said, you know how that can be? Purpose, will, the power to make a choice and be final. He was like, do you know what they're all in agreement about? That putting their energy together benefits all of them. And they can do it. So they do it. He was like, do you understand what Maria? Well, I didn't know her was Maria then. I was going to say her magic name. Because he used her magic name. Which I'm not allowed to ever say because that's hers. Between you and her, But your mother is trying to teach you. That is what your mother is trying to teach you that there's a practical reason for sex magic. It's to put the energies together, concentrated towards one specific target. And it can be personal love and benefit for one person or a million people, a nation, a religion. You're led by the true self. And he was like, look at me. The true gods reflect your true self back to you.